Hello, hello. This is Brian from Tavaran Games with another update on Dungeon Maker. So today I'm going to talk about adding in Steam-based networking for the multiplayer, as well as adding in a battle tracker on the encounter maps, and adding in or editing the map exporter a little bit to improve it so you can get better images out of that. Some new items I've added in, the ability to have larger enemy character portraits for the game so they look better, as well as a couple other changes that aren't on Steam yet. But for now, let's look at the Steam. So I'm actually going to invite myself into a game I'm hosting on my laptop. So here it should show up, and we have an invite. So let's open the Steam interface to take a look at that. Hit play game. Unfortunately, we have to close the interface manually because I don't know how to have the program close it yet. I'm still got to figure that out. But you'll see a code has been automatically put into here, and we'll talk about what that is in a sec. But let's select a character, hit join. We've got an attempted connection, and boom, we are in the game. We can walk around, see the campaign map at the moment. Now I'm going to open up a sub map here, and then boom, we pop over. We're in the sub map. We can run around and see things. Now on the laptop, the enemy portrait doesn't have any enemy portraits, so those just show up blank. But yeah, we can jump in the game using Steam-based networking. So let's exit this and stop hosting on my laptop. Let's actually host a game here. So with the host by Steam, you can see that it's pretty much the exact same as the host by IP. But instead of having the IP address shown in the corner, we end up with our Steam ID in the corner. So your friends can manually type that into the join game button. They do have to be your friends on Steam because I didn't want these games to be publicly visible since this is Dungeons & Dragons and random people aren't supposed to be able to drop into your game. So you have to be friends on Steam and they can type it in and just join. Or you hit the invite friends button. The window comes up. You can send out an invite. And then on my laptop side, let me just click that. So you've already seen the process on this side of it. We'll hit join on that. Now here we can close that and look at that. We have a player in our game. That player can move around. And again, let's select a map to move to. Now my laptop's a little slow, so it might take him some time to show up over here, but boom, there they are. Took a couple seconds, but that's due to limitations of my laptop being on my building's public network. So that is working nicely. The advantage for that is it gets around the port forwarding and firewall issues that hosting by IP does. In fact, my building did a network update that on the public servers in the building that prevented my desktop from actually being able to host a game. Nobody could connect to me. You couldn't even ping my IP address. So that kind of rushed me to get this feature in. And I do apologize to anyone who has purchased this game in early access and is supporting me. For if they weren't able to host a game on their particular network due to any issues they may have had with port forwarding, the firewall, being stuck on a public network. Now with the Steam hosting, it gets through all of that and makes the direct connection through the Steam interface, and you are good to go. So thank you for supporting everyone who's purchased the game, and hopefully this new multiplayer option works better for you. Alright, so the second update, since we're in the game, is our battle tracker. So this is still fairly simple, but the DM has a button here at the top called Start Encounter. So when they click that, the instructions will show up. So you click on the enemies to add them, and let's say these guys are involved in the fight. Now if you can deselect enemies, so click them again, say he's not in it, whatever. And then once you've got all the enemies you want involved, and if you're sneaky beaky, you can say, oh, these guys might be involved, and they'll work their way towards the entrance because they hear a commotion, whatever. Let's hit confirm. So once we do, it takes everyone you've selected, as well as all of the players, and then it rules their initiatives, and then it displays the turn order here on the left for you. So it reorders all those images that were there and adds in the players. So we then have these yellow highlights that appear over the enemy to let the DM see, oh, whose turn is it? So let's take control of him. Let's say he rushes past his buddy and runs out and takes an attack. Ooh, and he hits, oof, that's a lot of damage. And hits the player for that, and then that's his turn. All right, then you would hit highlight next. When it gets to a player, you can then just tell them, oh, yeah, it's your turn. They can take their turn. There's no restrictions so far on movement or actions or anything. I would like to get those built in, but it is a little tricky with all the various bonus actions and secondary actions and other conditions. So for right now, it's just up to the players and the DM. So the player could then take their turn, run around, do their thing. And when they decide their turn's over and the DM decides they've done everything they can, the DM can then highlight the next and see who it is. Oh, he's in here. And work their way through. So this lets you keep track, and it's really useful, especially for enemies that look the same, to keep track of which of those enemies it is, because it highlights the ones involved. So that's just a very simple tracker, but it should really help with your DMing. So let's just, and when we're done, we just hit end. Again, up to the DM when that happens. And let's go back to the campaign map. So the character portraits, I have this YouTube test, or not that one, sorry, the Tower of Karthus map, is not really a map. It's just got a few enemies on it. But so you'll see, though, the standard character portraits are 70 by 70 pixels. And with my initial networking using Mirror, that was not quite the biggest, but it was... I couldn't send the images large enough to fit this 170 by 170 larger enemy over the network. It wouldn't send it. It refused to send the message, and the client would crash out of the game. So I wanted to figure out, how can I have less pixelated images? My buddy was joking, when you had a huge enemy on the screen, he turned into a Lego enemy. So in this case, this is a slightly slower method to get the images across, so it does take a second or two for the enemy images to make it to your players. But what the program is now doing is, for the smaller images, it just sends that image out. For the larger images, it breaks it up into sub-images. In the case of a large one, it breaks it up into two halves, the top half and the bottom half, and sends each half as a separate message. And then for the huge ones, it splits it into 4 parts, which makes for small enough messages to go over the network. Now, I did have an issue at first. I would hit the network buffer limit if I tried to send those messages all in the same frame. And so I actually had to make it so that it grabs all the enemy image data it needs to send as its separate messages, coded with which enemy and which part of the image that data is from. And then it sends the messages out every 0.1 seconds. So if you have a lot of huge enemies, it can take a little while for the information to come across. There is also a bug if you have a bunch of huge enemies on the screen. For some reason, it sometimes gets it mixed up which enemy each part of the image is for, and it can sometimes scramble it. So I do have to fix that bug. But so right now, it takes a second or two for a lot of enemies to get all the pictures sent, but it does mean you get these much higher resolution, better looking pictures for each enemy. So that should improve your game. Just make sure the enemies are maybe slightly off screen from the character starting positions, so they don't see the pictures load in. Give them a second where you bullshit around talking about the new area and what they see, so the images can load to them. But yeah, that is working, and that's the multiplayer stuff I had to show. So let's exit this. My laptop will get its game abandoned. And let's head into the map editor. But in this case, I've got a couple features that are not yet on Steam. Some of them are, but I got to pop into the editor here to show off features that will be coming soon. So let's start this up. Already on the map editor with the Hamlet map open. Let's just let this get running. There we go. Okay. So we got that Nils Hamlet map, and you can see a little bit of that, of one of the updates. But the first thing, so this was a suggestion of one of the people who is supporting this on Steam, who's purchased the game in early access. So they wanted the eraser to work more grid-based, they said. And I interpreted that to be that when you click and hold down the eraser, it deletes an entire area. The way it worked before is if you clicked and held, it just deleted whatever it touched. Which could be a little slow if you're trying to take out like a huge building, a huge chunk of the map, and then you'd have to like pan back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until you delete everything. So what it does now is as you hold the eraser down, it draws out this red box to show you the bounds. Now, if you want to just go down to 1 square, you just click and the box will just be 1 square, drag it open. So let's say delete some of this road. So if we go across and delete that, boom, everything in the box is destroyed. We want to get rid of part of this building, boom, it's destroyed. Click, it'll just take out the 1 square. It is indiscriminate. It kills everything in the box, so only use this when you really want to lose something. But it's a lot faster if you want to just redo this entire corner of the map. Boom, it's gone. You can redo it. So let's actually just exit that without saving because I don't want to lose that part of the map. We're going to load back in. Ignore the errors. So the other update, so this one is a little ways away from coming. I've not got it completely working yet, but I'm working on getting a lighting system built into the game. This is something I wanted to do from the start. It's just a little tricky to make the lights look nice. But right now on the map, or what will be coming to the map editor, is a button here that will let you select the time of day, either day, night, or dawn/dusk. So at the moment, this only applies to the map editor. I don't have this in the actual multiplayer game yet. I plan on getting it there, but it's just not quite there yet. But we're going to say check night, and then boom, everything gets really dark at night. The main light turns off almost completely, so you can't really see. And then any of the torches that I've got in the game, they've got lights attached. They will start lighting up where they can. Now, it does look a bit funky. The built-in lighting system with Unity, the universal rendering, with the way the shadows work and everything, these shadow casters, aren't perfect. Like, you don't have reflections off the walls and that, and other things. Now, there's one thing I can do. I actually forgot a component. I have to re-add this component. It glitches out on the UI. Like, see how my UI goes crazy and I get tons of error messages and I can't actually edit the game. So I take it off. I forgot to put that back on. So let's go back in with that broken feature on. Once you're in the game, it actually works fine. Okay, let's go back to night. There we go. That looks a lot better. So what that's doing is that's adding all the different shadow colliders and putting them together. And then the game can light up nicely. Okay, that looks a lot better. So yeah, it doesn't work completely perfectly. Like if you look at the windows, you don't get like a nice beam out of the window when the light's coming from a corner because there's no reflection in it. And I don't know how to add that. Maybe there's a way. Now if the light's right in front of a window, you get this nice beam that comes out and lights up a little bit of the street. So it's not 100% perfect, but I'm going to keep fiddling with it and get it working and then get into the game. Now, if we go and test and open a door, the light will now come out of the door. Again, it's a little off because the torch is here. None of the light comes out this way, even though there should be some from this torch making it out or light reflecting off the wall. Not sure why that is, but, you know, it works pretty well. Let's click on that to close it, and we're back in the dark. And then go through, and it's lit up. So now let's switch. If we switch to dawn dusk, what it does is it dims all the torches, and then so that they don't overlight the scene, and then it makes it so that it's a bit dim out. Now I'm hoping that that I'll be able to get this into the game. Give characters the option to light a torch on their character that will turn them into a light, and get that light synced over multiplayer so that it's positioned correctly for everybody. As well as adding in a night vision rule to the character editor that if you're on a night map, will make it look like, say, a dusk map for characters with night vision, or slightly more desaturated, maybe a little bit darker. But so characters with night vision will always be able to see the map to some extent. But yeah, those are the updates to Dungeon Maker. So that's, as shown, on the version that's officially available on Steam at the moment, you've got the Host by Steam multiplayer now. That should really improve everyone's hosting abilities and the multiplayer experience. You've got the improved map exporter as well as the battle tracker in the game. And then coming soon will be the grid eraser. As well as some new furniture items, some new decoration items are in the game, and I'm sorting in submenus, as you saw. Just clean up the item menus a bit and make them a little bit more navigable. And then that grid-based eraser will be coming soon. So, thank you for watching this video on the latest update. If you've purchased Steam or Dungeon Maker on Steam, thank you very much for your early support, and I hope to earn your continued support. Also, consider supporting me on Patreon to help me develop this and other games. And thank you again for watching.